I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to the Sweetwater Performance Theater. We're here with PhilX. Great to see you, man.
What's happening?
You are. I don't know, man. See, I'm not cool enough. I don't have the whole handshake thing down. It's going great, man.
There is no handshake. There's like 100 handshakes.
Okay. So I did well.
And you need a book.
I got my work ahead of me then to figure all that out. Next time you're here.
Okay.
I'll have something figured out next time. Right. Well, it's your first time here, right?
It is, and I'm blown away.
Yeah?
This facility is spectacular. I don't think I've seen anything like it.
It is pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
To get on the
and
slide?
you know, all the people are really nice too.
Oh, thank you.
And I made like $50 today telling them that I would say that. No, but everybody's like really sweet, and everybody's very accommodating, you know, us being the artists, and it's kind of like, it feels like a family. Like, if I wasn't a musician, I'd want to work here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Did you go down the slide?
I didn't do the slide. I don't think my old back could handle it.
I don't know.
Really?
I've seen nuns go down the slide before.
That's it, I'm doing it.
You got to do it.
If a nun can do it, I can do it.
It's awesome. Everybody goes down the slide.
Yeah.
There's no limitations. So the us you mentioned is Don't Feed the Animals.
Yes.
Tell us what that's about.
Well, it's really bizarre, actually, because, you know, we all know David Koltai from Pictronics and Supro, and he put the band together to do a performance at a NAMM event. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those things, you know, hey Phil, do you want to play guitar? Hey Brian Tishy on drums, and then we have Richard Fortis, who's amazing, and we had the King on bass, Doug Wimbish. So,
right.
And then we did that, and he brought in a couple of singers, and it was one of those events where there were moments where you're looking at the audience, and they're not really doing much because they're blown away.
Right.
They're like, and you think, oh, they don't get it. And then you look again, and then, oh, they do get it, and they're like hypnotized.
Right.
So it's nice to be in a situation when you're making music and captivating an audience.
Right, very cool.
So, and then it came, hey, do you guys want to do that again? Because we've been offered, you know, we could go to, you know, Sweetwater, and we could do it there. We could make a performance, and then the performance turned into, the day before the performance, we got to do a recording masterclass, which was amazing, because I wrote a song a couple of weeks ago, and Richard was like, hey, what are we going to record at the master class? And I'm like, I got a tune. So I basically brought in a verse and chorus, and we finished the arrangement as a band.
Nice.
Because I really wanted it to feel like a band. You know?
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
And did you record it all at the same time, or did you layer parts together?
Oh no, we recorded all at the same time, no overdubs. I mean, vocals were done later. The one thing was, and it's, everybody does it, and you know, you've played off the floor. We didn't use a click. So, but there's multiple takes, and you know, there's Richard's, we found the master track, but there's a bit from this take that's got Richard really shining, so we're gonna bounce that in.
Sure.
And same thing with me. Doug nailed everything, and you know, Brian's performance was amazing, but we all loved the fill going into the solo from this 8th take, and so we flew that in.
Okay.
So it's an old-fashioned way to make music, you know, in regards to how it's made today.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, there's something urgent about it. You don't want to screw up, right? So it adds this urgency to recording. Like, don't be the one that screws up, man. And it's in your head. But then you add this fire, and you want to try all kinds of different things. And some things work, and some things don't. But it adds that element of tension.
Right.
Yeah.
That adrenaline surge, and it just builds the excitement. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So did you use the same amp rig in the studio as you're using here on stage?
I did. And this is, okay, so let's start with this thing. This is 1606. I've been recording 2 amps at the same time for a really long time. It's always like a half stack, because it gives you the body. And then a little amp always fills in that gap of mid-range that I believe a half stack doesn't have. Okay. You know? And for the longest time, it was my 1950s Magnatone Tone Master accordion amp. That's what it said on the back, you know? And the paper is peeling off the cone, and it's got 1,000 hours on it, and I want to retire it.
Right.
So when I saw this in a magazine, I called David, I'm like, what's that? And he goes, hey, I'll send you one, you can check it out. And lo and behold, I checked it out, and I was like, wow, this thing is amazing.
Right.
It's 5 watts, an 8-inch, and that's a special 8-inch speaker.
Yeah.
Because I've plugged the black magic into the speaker to record it, and it still sounded incredible. So this is the little amp that I use when my band, the Drills, play. You know, because I use wedges, the amp's on the stage. When I play with Bon Jovi, it's a little different.
Right.
I use, my cabinets are in ISO boxes under the stage. But the incredible thing about the little amp is that this is exactly how I have it, because it's only 5 watts.
Right.
So this is a 100-watt prototype. It's a custom 100. It's kind of based on like a plexi with the master volume.
Okay.
But in a Supro way, which is really cool. And that's what happened when we played the Supro event at the NAMM show. I plugged into this thing, and not only was I feeling like, what's going on? It's awesome, you know?
Right.
I had people coming up to me asking me what I was playing through, and I was like, it was that. And they're like, what? And one producer friend of mine who's really awesome, he's a great producer, and he came up and he said, how are you getting that sustain? I go, I don't know, it was the amp. And he's like, it's impossible, no amp does that. And I go, well, this did.
Yeah.
So when it came, we got the opportunity to come here and record and perform, they brought this for me to use. So this is going into this Friedman 412, and this is filling that middle area that I feel is always missing from that house stack.
I was listening out in front of house during soundcheck when you guys were playing earlier. Man, it sounds huge. I mean, just the girth, and you got the bottom end, but there's still that presence.
It's all there. Yeah. Everything you just said. It's got the girth, which is really important, and the bottom end, but it's tight bottom end. It's not loose and spongy. I'm one of those guitar players that I believe you can't just play the guitar, you got to play the amp. Because if I plug into a higher gain amp like a Friedman, I can pick hard and it responds to it. I can pick light and it responds to it, and it's dynamic. When I plug into a plexi-ish type of amp, if I hit hard, it tends to fart. It tends to get really spongy, and it's not fast enough for my hands. So instead of dismissing the amp, I just play a different way. I play lighter, because there's something really special about it. But so having the plexiness without the sponginess and the smoothness of a higher gain amp, this thing really handles everything that I hit it with.
Nice.
And then if I have it set, I'm usually the guy that I like to set an amp for Malcolm Young, and with a pedal, I can get Eddie Van Halen kind of thing. And then everything in between, right? And I work my volume a lot, because I get a lot of people that say, hey, what's your clean sound? I love it. And I'm like, it's kind of this. You know, and I love the P90, right? If I could be on stage with Bon Jovi, and they make the set list like different every night, and you get it 30 minutes before, and then we pick the guitar that I'm going to use. We're doing You Give Love a Bad Name, and I got the guitar then, but then we're going to The Lost Highway, which is a country tune, and I don't have time to change to a telly. So, but if I turn the P90 down to 7, it gets telly-ish, and there's no compromise. It does the job.
Right.
And I mean, it's all in the hands too, right?
Sure.
If you needed to be a little brighter, you can pick closer to the bridge. If you needed to be darker, you can pick further away from the bridge.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, get up toward the neck. So do you prefer doing that to changing? Would you rather stay on one guitar for the whole night, or do you like to change guitars for different?
I do the drills with one guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, we got a new record out that's coming out May 3rd, and there's one song that needs a neck pickup, so I have to take another guitar out. But I do the drills. I mean, picture the catalog of Bon Jovi. People are like, why do you have so many guitars, and why do you have so many that? And I'm like, look at the catalog.
Right.
You know, you got Slippery When Wet, which is 80s rock, and then New Jersey, and then so forth, and Keep the Faith, which is a little cleaner, a country record, and then the poppier records that they've been doing lately. You can't do all that with the Les Paul and a Marshall. You just can't, you know? And then it's a lot of fun to try to capture some of the tones again, you know? I have to, when we rehearse for a tour, me and John Shanks, we turn into geeks, because we record stuff, and then the next day listen to it. Yeah, that guitar doesn't work for Lay Your Hands on Me. I'm going to try that one tonight. Oh my God, that guitar sounds amazing in Bed of Roses. That's a keeper. And it's fun doing it.
Right.
And I don't have to carry it. So I don't have to carry it. I don't have to set it up. Why not take 20 guitars out?
Sure.
It's fun.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great. So one thing I wondered about, you have a 5-watt amp, you have a 100-watt amp. Can you even hear this on stage?
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
Well, it helps that it's right by your ear.
Yeah.
Right? This is in your legs. This is in your ear.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I was listening to it, and I wanted to turn this down a little bit because on this stage everything was really loud, and then when you're in an empty auditorium, which is really bright and bouncy and stuff, and then when it's full, it's going to be completely different.
Right.
But this thing was a little loud, and when I brought it down, this was too loud.
Wow.
So then I kind of worked with Jimmy, the sound guy, and I said, can I bring this amp up a little bit, and maybe you bring this guy down in the front a little bit, and then we found the right balance, and it sounded amazing.
Right.
But it's one of those things, right? Even in the studio, when I record 2 amps, when you go to mix down, that's when you decide you've recorded both amps, and you're like, oh, so okay, this song needs more Big Daddy, and then the next song needs, or even say the bridge just needs the little guy.
Right.
And what's really cool about recording 2 amps, and if we can go into that, just the hair, is it's 2 completely different sounds and 1 performance.
Mm-hmm.
So you got 2 amps on the left, 2 amps on the right, and they could be different. And you got 4 different sounds, but 2 performances, so it's super tight, and it doesn't sound like overproduced.
Right.
And that's I really love that kind of thing, because I've worked on records in like 2006 when it was Daughtry, and they opened up a session and it's 18 guitars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we don't do 18 guitars anymore. I think you could say so much more with less.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But you're still getting a huge tone. I mean, that wall of guitars is still there, just because of the variance between the 2 amplifiers, and then you have 2 performances too that are there.
Well, the last thing that I recorded at Capitol Records, I was recording a song there, and I used this guy on one side with a bigger amp, and on the other side I used a different Supra. It was the Black Magic,
mm-hmm.
but also sent, instead of using a 4th amp, I sent the Supra fuzz box direct into the board, and just made sure the phasing was okay.
Right.
Because that could also, you need a good splitter
mm-hmm.
that has phase and ground support. And people just come in and they go, how many guitars is that? Just 2. But how many sounds is that? 4. So what's giving the clarity? This one. What's giving it the anger? The fuzz box. What's giving it the mids? The 1606. So, and I love sharing that with other guitar players, because I'm like, right. You don't need to record 8 guitars to have that huge sound. You could just do it like this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Great lesson.
Well, hey, thanks, man.
No, man, my pleasure. Thank you. Appreciate you taking time. I know they kept you busy here the last couple of days, right?
Holy, it's crazy. I mean, I was here at 7 o'clock this morning
right.
and did 2 sales pitches or whatever they call it.
Who does that?
Me.
You do.
And I have to say, not only was Richard Fortis here doing it as well, but David from Supro, what a presenter.
Yeah.
I was blown away, man. This guy's 7 o'clock in the morning, and he's like animated. And I picture most of these things going like this. And this is the new model. It's $299. And he's the opposite. Right. There's no monotone anywhere. And it's
right.
like, and it's very exciting.
Yeah, and it comes across in the amps too. He makes great stuff.
He's brilliant.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Man, I hope you come back soon.
I'd love
Pleasure
to come
have
back.
you here.
Love to come
Great
back.
to see you.
Thanks, buddy.
Looking forward to the show tonight.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be killer.
It's gonna be rocking.
Right on.
Thanks for joining us here in the Sweetwater Performance Theater. I'm Mitch Gallagher.